Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us again. I am Dino and this is I am Nikki.
I'm Dino.
Yeah, this is Dino.
Yes. How you
And
doing?
and I am
Thank
Nikki.
you for
So
joining us today. We
yes.
appreciate you being here today.
Ah,
We have an interesting topic, which can get a little touchy sometimes.
mm-hmm.
Um,
But it's part of marriage, it's part of relationships, it's part of
Having those tough,
dating.
difficult conversations,
Yeah.
and this is something where you should always do in the beginning of your relationships.
And
Whether
throughout.
yes, yeah, if changes need to be done as
Mm-hmm.
you progress in your relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But today we're talking about should we put our finances together?
Money, money, money.
Right now, and I know
Money.
everyone has different circumstances. Some people are younger, some people are older, some people
More
have
seasoned, because we like to say
yes.
seasoned.
Okay,
Because
season.
we're middle-aged, seasoned people.
Yes, we are, babe. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we are.
Mm-hmm.
Salt and pepper.
Yes. Spicy.
I'm the salt. You're the pepper.
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, black and white, salt and pepper.
Well,
Yeah.
not just black and white, just to season it.
Yeah,
That's
seasoning.
how we
Okay.
spice
But
it
anyway, yeah, we wanted to talk about if you should put your money together
up.
in a relationship.
Mm.
And I know a lot of people have different views of what they should do in their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, hon?
Well, first of all, we just want to say this is from our own perspective, right? We are talking about what works for us, what we have experienced in the past,
Yes.
and we would love to hear from you all of what works for you. Whether you are single and you are dating and you are contemplating, should you join your finances with your uh, prospective partner, or if
Mm-hmm.
you are in a coupledom, as we say, if you are in a relationship, how are you all managing your money? So
Mm-hmm.
before we go on, we're just like to ask from you all to make sure that you subscribe and hit not only hit the subscribe button, but also leave some positive energy, some positive comments for us, and encouragement for others that are going through any kind of relationship situation. Leave a heart, whatever you like. We are appreciative of it, and also feel so free to share.
And hit that notification button too.
Yeah, the subscribe so you can be notified. There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Let's start it off.
Yes, so what we do is we bring our money together. How so? We may have different accounts, but it's still under the umbrella of Nikki and Dino. So the different business accounts we might have, so you're gonna have separate,
Yeah, you're gonna have your personal account,
right,
and you're
right.
gonna have your business account.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which those supposed to be separate, right? Because personal and business is not supposed to be from the same. But when it comes to our personal accounts, though they might be multiple accounts, they're still up under the umbrella of both of us. What do I mean by this? Is though it might be in ABC Bank, this account, this one may be in DEF account, it is still us bringing our money together. So Dino has income, I have income that we bring together, and we manage these different accounts together. Um, One might be for utilities, bills, one might be for traveling, fun, one might be for retirement, and so forth. But again, we believe in what we practice and what works well for us. And again, this is what works well for us. We choose to bring our money together, manage it together, because we believe in building together. And that actually works better for the whole.
Yeah, and it makes each other accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason why we did this was because of past prior experiences or
Mm-hmm.
marriages that we were in before.
Relationships.
Relationships, uh, it wasn't like that. So we kind of learned our lesson about being more transparent with each other when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to our finances. to be more vocal, because business is sometimes different than your regular everyday job, because business, according to the market and the economy, it fluctuates, right? Supply and demand, it goes up and down. You could have some great months, and then you could have some average months, but everything is always alternating. So in a job, almost the same amount of money is coming in every week. So you know how to budget according to your everyday or weekly lifestyle.
Well, I believe even if things are changing, because things can change in the job, right? Fred,
Yes.
Fred and Keisha, Fred and Keisha can both have a per se job, and say Fred loses his job and then it changes or cut hours, which is happening right in different companies, different people's situations when it comes to their work. And I believe that it's the same even with a business, right? You might, like you said, have the highs where you're like, oh, okay, I'm making this amount of money, and then it shifts, and the season, the current season might not be what was what the money was coming in before, but all of that has to be managed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the fluctuation, basically you adapt according to the fluctuation. So, like she said, one might lose a job, or one might be the overtime isn't there. Because I know in today's society, a lot of people work a lot of hours and a lot of overtime and are dependent on that. So you have to manage and balance accordingly in the account, because sometimes you could say, okay, I want this, or you might be a compulsive spender, or you might impulse shop, but according to your circumstances, you have to, how would you say, be aware and be mindful what's going on in the household, so that you can alleviate or balance what's going on in the influx of income coming in.
Well, just in general, no matter what it is, I believe whether it be jobs or businesses that people are running, that you have to be a good manager, just like you have to be a good manager of your life. With that being said, I'm gonna put a pin in it and come back to it. You brought up overtime. I believe no one should depend on overtime. Because, like I said before, and like you just stated with businesses, they fluctuate, right? So you're working for ABC company, and you have been dependent on overtime. Say, for example, you're getting 10 hours of overtime every week, and you are saying to yourself, or you are using that within your budget, and then that rug is pulled from under you, and then you're like, oh, okay, so those extra 10 hours was helping to pay the mortgage or the rent or this bill or something. That should always be extra. And speaking of that, when I said putting that in the budget, I do believe in it's not really budgeting, but again, managing. I like to say management, because and then a budget may look different for everybody. Again, we are talking about what works for us, and that changes, right? Like the seasons changes, and you have to be open to change, just like you have to be open, like you speak of business, right? Even for yourself, sweetheart, with PDR, paintless dent repair. This season might be, very high. This season might be different, but even knowing that the seasons change, you have to move accordingly.
Yes.
You have to manage accordingly and be ready for the lows. And I think that's probably the hiccup, right? With a lot of people, is that it's not to be in fear of the lows, but to be aware that lows may come, because you're not always riding high all the time, right? Just in life, right? Also, with that being said, going back to what I said about being a manager, is taking an account, not just an account what we say we have in banks and so forth, but taking an account of what you are doing with the money, the income, what you are doing with your finances. Asking yourself, and this is something that we do, right? So we're going on a trip somewhere, and I usually handle that. I say to myself, okay, well, we want to go stay at, like we just spoke of in Dubai in our last video. Make sure you watch it. We talked about going to Dubai. We went to Dubai, and I researched how much it costs. Different places to stay in different places, how much it would cost us, even in time, because that needs to be managed as well, right? Whether you're going to be away from your job, your business, whatever your line of work is, that has to be taken account of too. So that was considered. Also, what we were going to do, which is what we do every time we go somewhere. Okay, we're going to go on this excursion. We're going to go into this activity. That is part of the account too. So it won't be such a shock. And not just saying it's going to be planned out to the T all the time, because it's not, because that's part of life, right? Which is what happened when we went to Dubai. One of the excursions or one of the activities we were supposed to go on was camel ride and some things like that.
Dinner on the desert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, next time we go.
But they had a sandstorm.
Yes.
Okay.
So we pivot. We had to change the plans and so forth. And another thing that had came up, which we did not know, was how much it costs to eat at the hotel where we're staying at versus going to the mall to eat, and which was a big difference. Eating at the hotel, say for example, lunch, and it could have been a buffet lunch, would cost $100 for both of us. When we found out that there was a mall close by in walking distance, we would go to the food court and eat and be able to eat that same lunch or eat lunch for probably a tenth of the price. So anyway, I just want to state that everything or much of what we do again in life is about management
and having discussions. Okay,
yes.
You got to have discussions. If you're not having discussions, because I'm going to be honest. In the beginning of our relationship, there were some triggers that came from the last relationship. That whenever we would have discussions about finances, I noticed anger triggers would start to come up whenever we would talk about finances, because of the fact of what happened in the previous relationship. And of course, we have to be aware of whoever you get into a relationship with, that sometimes some things have happened in their last relationships, or even the relationships before that, where people might be not as trusting with the finances, or I'm going to give you my whole check, and you go ahead and handle the finances.
They healing.
Right.
They've been traumatized.
So you have to be mindful and aware and understanding of why sometimes someone might want to, and why sometimes someone might not want to put all the money into one pot, which is understandable, because some people have been burned, and that's just the truth. And if that's happened to you, I'm sorry. It has happened to me. So thank God that I have a wife now that is selfless. She understands that if she burns me, she's burning herself, and vice versa. So we have these discussions now in the open, because that's how you change things.
Yes.
Are they uncomfortable sometimes? Yes. Is it going to get heated sometimes? Yes. Because, you overspent. No, you did. Well, you could have bought this. Well, you shouldn't have bought that. Well, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, let's fix it. That's number one, because otherwise going back and forth playing the blame game, that's not going to fix anything. So you have to come up with your own plan, because it's hard for us to give you all a plan,
Right.
which I see a lot of people give, their plans and stuff, but there's too many variables to have one set way. You have to do what's best for you and your family. If you got kids, if you don't have kids, if you got parents living with you, if there's just so many different variables. But the point that we're trying to talk to you about is be aware. Be aware, fact check, double check, check each other, not as in a non-trusting way, but, even in certain, in business, when you get a business loan, they want a history report. They want to see data that, hey, you're managing your money well. You're, you pay back on time. You're reliable. You're trustworthy. And I know in relationships, sometimes it takes a little while to start building that trust, because you're figuring each other out. What are your patterns? Does this person, like I said before, are they a compulsive buyer? Or do they mismanage? Are they just, is there something missing in their lives where they feel like they always have to buy, or is sometimes people get into how would you say, maybe starting a new business, over and over and over, and they're spending money over and over trying to do startups, and stuff like that. So
well, yeah, and that's why again, when you're in a relationship, however that picture looks like for you, whether you are married, you are living with someone, because we all are in some type of relationship, right? So if you are in a relationship where you are sharing a space, a household with someone, and again, this is what worked for us bringing our money together, might be in different accounts, for us talking about, okay, this money that came from here, what are we going to do with it? This money that came from here, because we believe in working together to build. We have goals, different things that we want to accomplish as a couple, individually and as a couple.
Right.
With that being said, I believe everyone, all couples, should sit down and consistently, and not saying every day, but take time, whether you're starting off weekly, if it's a new practice for you, where then you can go to monthly, every few months. It depends. Again, that picture might, even with that, might be different. But to sit down and have these conversations, yes, those hard, challenging conversations is needed, because like Dino said, the further you go away from it, it's not going nowhere. And sometimes it gets worse when we're not addressing it, right? That's just like that cut. They was like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. And you're not addressing it, and you're letting dirt and this stuff,
point.
Get in there, and it starts to fester, it becomes a wound, and all these other things start to happen with their health, right? So when it comes to even the health of your relationship, finances is part of it, right?
Exactly. Actually, it's like 50-something% of the reason why people get divorced. So that's why we wanted to bring it up, because it's a high priority, in a relationship, in a marriage, in a partnership, to alleviate the pressure. And so I think what she's trying to say, or what I heard her saying, is that when you see a problem starting to fester, you have to address it immediately. Don't wait.
Don't let it fester.
Right.
Address it immediately.
Go to it, have the discussion. Hey, this didn't get paid, or something's going on, or, have those hard conversations to make people accountable, because ultimately in this world, we all have to govern ourselves somehow or some way. And I believe sometimes that governing might have to be given to one person, because
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because one person is not able to, or is not as responsible.
And that's okay. Be honest about it.
Right. Oh, go ahead, baby.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to touch upon that because um, that might be the situation. And again, come to have a conversation and not for it to be this bad thing that's about to happen. See it as me being honest, the person you're with being honest, so this good can come from it. And say, for example, Fred says, hey, I'm used to just spending my money here and there, and his partner is, oh, okay, well, I'm not that person that likes to just spend everywhere. And Fred chooses, well, they both come, right? They both come together and choose for the other, say for again, Keisha. Keisha is going to be the main person. Not to say that he's not involved, right? Because we should never X someone totally out. That he isn't involved, but he has given this not power, right? It's not about you relinquishing your power, but you are giving, or actually, I would like to say, you are allowing Keisha to be the main manager.
The word
of
here
that.
probably is delegating.
Yes,
delegating
yes,
a certain position for or a job for the greater good of the whole.
For the whole, yes.
Right.
Yes.
But you reminded me of something when you were talking, because I want to go back to what I just touched on about having a discussion when you see something beginning to fester. And I'm going to put my wife on the spot right now. She doesn't know it, but I'm about to ask her something, what her opinion is, right? So what do you do when someone...
And this is straight, you guys. We're not going to even edit this.
No, yeah. So what do you do when you try to have a discussion with someone and they defer and they don't want to hear about it? They will talk about it later. Or some people, like I said, and this is what I used to do, is get angry, all right? And most people, once you start getting angry, what do?
Shut down.
Shut down. You walk away.
Walls up.
And this is not just for finances. This is for everyday relationship. Having difficult, truthful, honest discussions. What do you do when someone does not want to have a conversation?
Well, first of all, you cannot force no one to do anything, right? Because that just builds more resistance. It just causes a problem, because an issue is the beginning of it. The problem is when it becomes exaggerated. It has become worse. I believe in repackaging. So if me just coming straight to this person say, hey, let's talk about finance, and they're like, they run for the hills, they build up these walls, they
don't even know it.
Right. So it's like, okay, so that's not working. Check that out. Let me come around the other way and give an example, or just say it, or even say it or question it in a way that is more, your partner is more responsive to, in a positive way.
Right.
To open up the door to the conversation.
Which is one of Nikki's ways of talking to me. And I already, because we've been together 9 years, so...
Well, no, 10.
Yes. I already recognize when she's trying to tell me something without telling me something. So she does this like parable story, kind of like beating around the bush. And then I'm like, I know what you're doing. Right.
I don't beat it.
And your tone makes a huge difference too when you try to talk about finances
or anything that's challenging or hard.
You have to be mindful. You can't talk at somebody. You know, you have to talk to them, and you know it's and you really have to learn how to do this, because it's difficult sometimes, because most people say, just tell me direct. Just be direct to me.
And don't really mean it.
Knowing that does not work. So don't listen to that. You have to, because you can read a person's body language. You can tell when they're open and they're receiving, or when they're not. And when they're not, just stop.
Yeah.
So you have to put a little sugar on it, you know, somehow, and watch the moods. When they're in a good mood, that's the time to hit that truth. You know, they happy, they dancing, they singing, they move. Hey, let me talk to you real quick. What's going on with that extra money you spent on that new fishing pole? You know, yeah, we don't got that right now. Yeah, what?
Well, even with that, instead of saying that, oh, why did you do this? And sometimes direct is needed, right? Sometimes you got to go straight to the point, as they say, with no chaser. But much of the time is the other route, right? Where you're softening someone up, you're warming someone up, you are coming to them in a way that is not so forceful, and that I look to go away from creating or doing damage. That's what I try to keep in my mind. Even when I deal with clients and when I would deal with patients at different places that I worked at, you hear of bedside manner. It's not only for doctors, it's for nurses as well. But I think that is important, because who wants to hear news or talk about something that is going to be hurtful, and you're just coming straight direct? So instead of it being direct, you go indirect. You said beating the bush, I say go around the bush. That's better. Beating is forceful. That's harsh. When you could go around, easier, right?
Right.
Usually nobody gets harmed that way. So here's an example. Keisha and Fred is talking about money. And Keisha wants to bring up that Fred spent money on a fishing pole. Instead of Keisha saying, oh, you spent $200 on a fishing pole, how could you do that? When Fred is in a good mood and we are using more open, we are actually in receiving mode, right? When we are softened, talk to Fred, say, hey, did you go fishing?
What? No.
Yeah. Well, just say, bring it up somehow and say, hey, sweetheart, I know that you had put me in charge of, just making sure that our money is going where it's supposed to go. I noticed that you spent $200 extra on the fishing pole, and that's fine, because I know you enjoy going fishing, but I also know that we are planning to put more money aside to go on a trip, to put it into retirement account, investment accounts. You know what I mean? Just bringing it up in a different way.
So look.
Instead of punishing him for spending the extra money.
So you brought the awareness again, which is what I said. Yes. You brought the awareness that you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So now both parties know. So now what can I do to balance or alleviate, to put money back into that particular itemized category? I might have to, if there's an opportunity, I might have to work some overtime, or maybe go do a side hustle, or go do something to bring that income back and put it back where it should go.
Yeah, and there's always different ways of doing that, right? Whether you call it budgeting, whether you call it managing, and I give an example of us. So we are connoisseurs of good. Well, I am a connoisseur of good movies. I love great movies. So with that comes the different apps, and we have the Fire Stick. So say for example, one of the apps is Hulu. So, and I don't know exactly. Well, it's about $5.99, right? So if $5.99 here on a TV app, movie app, $14.99 here, all that equals or can't add, it adds up. It can add up, it adds up. So if Fred wants to buy the fishing pole, or Keisha wants to buy something, we do the balancing game, where like Dino said, take the funds or use the funds over here and put it there. So say for example, okay, if all the apps the movie television apps equal out $100. Okay, that's $100. Maybe I can go without that for a month to put the extra $100 into the fishing pole. And again, like we said before, and we've been saying it consistently throughout the video, of having these conversations, being honest, so we can know, what to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe Keisha might even offer up something, which I'm hoping that Fred does as well. But maybe Keisha might even offer up something like, hey, I know we were planning to go on this trip, and me and you, because instead of just pointing the finger at the person all the time, because we all should be vulnerable, right? We all may not be walking the line 100%. So maybe Keisha might be like, hey, I'm not going to buy new makeup for next couple of months to get the money back. But not saying that she has to do it, but right. That's just her offering, right? But it's also a self-sacrifice and an example of, to him, of what he can be practicing as well. Right. Because again, if it's for the whole, we both, which is what we both do. Because I know this is something that Dino does all the time. It's not about him calling me, asking for permission. Can he do this and do that? It's that he's saying to himself when he makes these decisions, as well as I, that she trusts what I do. When I'm doing this, I'm buying this, I'm doing this with her money, she's trusting me, and I'm keeping that in the forefront of my mind too, because it's for the whole. Because again, what I use, what I take out of accounts, that definitely affects him. And I just want to bring this up, that in past relationships, that it was about, as they say, I'm doing me, and the other person is I'm doing me. There was no togetherness. There was no working together. That's not us working together to build the whole, or what's the best for the household, right? Because if someone is building a home, when you have contractors and the different people that come together that's part of the team to make the home, you need to talk with each other. You have to be honest with the drywall people, have to be honest with the flooring people and say, well, hey, we need you to do this and that and the other. And the floor people say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how much we need for this. That's what builds a great home, right? So if you are not in conversation and connection with each other, you're not going to build a solid foundation. You're not going to build a good home. And it's just going to be constantly
well, nothing can be fixed. Nothing can be fixed if you're not being honest with each other. Or, because there are some people that say, yes, we do stuff together, but then they're in secret, sneaking money around, spending money, doing this, doing that. That's going to hurt the family too. So it's important to be honest and transparent with your wife or with your partner in your relationship as much as possible if you plan to have a future together.
Yes.
So you may as well practice it now before, whether you're married or you're not married, you practice it now and get ready for that behavior when two people come into union as one. Does that make sense?
Yes. And then, like we said in the beginning, whether you're single, this applies, you can apply this whether you're single and you are looking or you're in dating mode with someone. And the best practice is with the self. You being a better manager of your accounts and asking when you're going on dates, you're dating people, as they used to say, courting people. You're asking them these questions. You're not taking that deep dive right into finances because you're still just dating, but you're getting a picture, you're getting some understanding of where they are. And it's not no good or bad thing. It's just to see if this will align with what I'm looking for. And of course finances is a part of it. It's not the whole or all the reasons why we decide to marry someone, live with someone. But it's a nice chunk of it, right? and you are questioning you. And let me say this: you don't have to question literally. You do not have to question literally. This is what I mean by this. You don't always have to ask. Keisha don't always have to ask Fred, "What do you do with your money? How's your credit?" Da, 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 da. How someone acts, just be in observing mode of what Fred is doing, how he's spending his money. Okay, ladies, hello. That's letting you know. That's giving you a snapshot, as they say at the banks, of where his finances are or how he is doing his finances. And again, it's not about no good or bad, but you're saying to yourself, and you're questioning yourself, does this align where I am and where I'm going? And is this someone I can build that good foundation with?
Work with me.
Yeah.
You work with them.
Yes.
Because it's not just the husband overspending, it's also the wife or the female, overspending too. But are they willing?
Yes.
Basically. Are they willing to compromise? Are they willing to work together? Because two incomes can go way further than one. And you want to be on one accord when it comes to your finances in a relationship.
And I want to say this as well.
Real quick.
So
I'm just kidding.
So he brings up two incomes or multiple because really multiple incomes, right? It could be two, it could be three. It's not just jobs, it's not just work. It's different ways of how money flows in, right? Comes in. That's what the equals our finances, or part of it, right? And some of our finances, again, how we manage, household bills, all of that. But with that, you want to make sure when again you're doing an account of yourself, but when you are looking to be with someone, and if you're going to build something with them, you are again getting a understanding of where they're going. You're asking them questions, but you're again also observing of where they may or they want to be. Yes, there we go. There we go.
Of how they are.
Yes.
As far as management goes. But I will say this, and this is the last point, and then we're going to get out of here. But I do believe that in a relationship, we should reward each other too. Because it isn't always just about bills and this and pay that and do this and do that. You work hard for your money. I mean, a lot of people work hard for their money. So you do have to have an expense allocated towards your fun.
Yes.
What brings joy to you, what brings peace to you, by yourself and together. You should have two accounts for that, because sometimes you might want to go kick it by yourself and have fun by yourself.
That's okay.
And then sometimes you want to kick it with your partner and do something together with your partner. So, there should be an allocation for that too, because it shouldn't just always be about work, and you not getting any type of compensation or reward for yourself. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you just put money in the bank or in these different accounts, and you're not living. That's one of the reasons why you are making income. It's not to just pay the bills, and that's one of our mantras is thriving. And part of thriving is enjoying your life and enjoying your partner. So that's one of the reasons why we travel and have fun, is because we want to share our living with each other. And how we share our living with each other is part of, or one of the ways is how we finance, or what we do with our finances. So again, we make time to spend time with each other. We have this amount of money, weekly, which we believe in. We believe in dating while you're married, right? Because dating just doesn't stop once you say I do, which is a everyday I do. You keep dating your partner, your spouse, or your mate. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. We thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the notification button. And we will see you on the next one. In the meantime, live beyond.
Bye-bye.